The Kybalion is not just another book on mysticism or philosophy. It's a guide to a hidden system of universal laws that govern all of reality. Yet most people have never heard of it or simply don't understand it. This book, mysterious in its origins, is much more than a series of written pages. It is a vibrational key to the very fabric of existence. It reveals the ancient Hermetic wisdom, passed down from initiate to initiate, hidden in symbols, metaphors, and secrets. It is a manual of reality, but the strange part is that it doesn't simply give you information. If you're reading or hearing this, it's because you're ready for the deeper understanding that the Kybalion offers. It's a book that chooses its readers. You might wonder, what makes this book so special? How can one work hold the key to understanding everything about the universe? The Kybalion, written by 3 anonymous initiates in the early 20th century, distills the wisdom of Hermetic teachings, wisdom that has existed for thousands of years. This knowledge, hidden from the masses, was passed down in secrecy, shared only among a select few who had the mental and spiritual capacity to understand and apply it. It was passed along through myths, rituals, symbols, and sacred texts, quietly evolving through time as a secret society's knowledge, waiting for the right time and people to emerge. It's essential to understand that the Kybalion is not just about intellectual knowledge. It is a tool, a map of the laws that govern all that exists, from the smallest atom to the vastest galaxy. To truly grasp the Kybalion, you must be prepared to absorb more than just words. You must allow the teachings to resonate with you at a deeper level. This knowledge comes alive when it is felt, experienced, and integrated. It's not enough to simply read it and move on. Instead, each passage invites you to examine your current understanding of reality and transform it from within. This hidden wisdom is not for the casual reader, nor for those not ready to see beyond the surface. It reveals profound truths that may be hard to digest at first, truths that challenge everything you have believed about the nature of life, the mind, and the universe. Yet, if you are here, it is because something within you has been awakened. You've been drawn to this moment, this knowledge, and the Kybalion has found you because you are ready for it. There is a reason for the timing of your encounter with the Kybalion. The teachings in this book do not appear by chance. The Kybalion opens itself to those who have reached a certain level of consciousness, those whose inner search for meaning and purpose has prepared them for these deep teachings. In fact, the very idea that you are reading these words means that you've been called to a higher understanding. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, has responded to your subconscious quest for truth. And it is no coincidence that you're here. The Kybalion teaches us that nothing in the universe is random. And that's one of the first and most essential concepts to understand. We tend to think of life as a series of random events or coincidences, but the Kybalion tells us that everything happens according to law. Chance is but a name for law not recognized. Everything, from the smallest particles to the greatest cosmic phenomena, operates through laws that are invisible but universally binding. These laws are not arbitrary. They're the structure that holds the fabric of reality together. They are unchanging, timeless, and they have always been in place. The Kybalion reveals these universal laws, which have been obscured from mainstream knowledge for millennia. These laws do not care whether you are aware of them or not. They operate regardless of your understanding or beliefs. But when you begin to recognize these laws and work with them consciously, you begin to unlock the power to shape your own life, your own reality. The laws are not just theoretical concepts to be understood. They are practical, living principles that you can apply in your everyday existence. One of the greatest misconceptions about the Kybalion and the teachings of Hermeticism is that they are reserved for a select few or are too difficult to understand. But that is not true. The Kybalion does not hide knowledge from anyone. It simply waits for the right moment for an individual to comprehend it. In that sense, it's not about being intellectually prepared to understand its teachings. It's about being spiritually attuned to them. It's about being ready to perceive reality not just through the limited lens of the 5 senses, but through a deeper, more intuitive understanding. For thousands of years, Hermetic wisdom has been kept secret, guarded, and passed along only to those who were deemed ready. These secrets were never written down or openly shared. They were communicated through symbols, myths, and teachings that required an understanding beyond the obvious. To truly understand the secrets of the Kybalion, you must be willing to look past the surface of things and delve into the deeper layers of reality. This is the essence of Hermetic knowledge. It's hidden in plain sight, waiting for the right eyes to see it. The Kybalion itself, though written in the early 20th century, is a direct link to the ancient wisdom of Egypt, Greece, and beyond. This wisdom was passed down through generations of initiates, each one adding their own insights and understanding, but always keeping the core teachings intact. These teachings were meant to be understood not by the mind alone, but by the heart and soul. They're a language of the spirit, a map of the mind, a guide to understanding the very essence of existence. Understanding that the universe is mental is the key to understanding everything else. All of reality, in its essence, begins in the mind. This truth is not just abstract. It is the foundation on which all other laws rest. But before we dive deeper into these principles, it's important to recognize something profound about your journey into the Kybalion. You're not here by chance. The universe has brought you to this moment because you are ready to receive this knowledge. It is time for you to see the world in a new way, to break free from the constraints of limited thinking, and to align yourself with the universal laws that govern everything. The Kybalion is more than just a book. It's a tool that will help you unlock the mysteries of the universe, but it requires more than just reading. It requires an awakening. It requires you to look beyond the obvious, to perceive the hidden forces at work in your life, and to use those forces to transform your reality. This is not about gaining intellectual knowledge. It is about gaining wisdom, power, and a deeper connection to the universe. The true power of the Kybalion lies in its ability to shift your perspective. Once you begin to understand that the universe is not just a physical place, but a mental construct, you begin to realize that you are not simply a passive observer of reality. You are an active participant in the creation of your own life. This realization is the first step in unlocking the full potential of the Kybalion. It's a journey of self-discovery, of inner transformation, and ultimately, of mastery over your own reality. The Kybalion is not just a book, it is an invitation to step into a new way of seeing the world. It invites you to go beyond the surface, to understand the hidden forces that shape your reality, and to use that understanding to live a life of greater purpose, alignment, and power. It is not for everyone, but if you found it, it is because you are ready to walk the path of the initiate to discover the truths that have been hidden for so long. To fully grasp the teachings of the Kybalion, it is crucial to understand the lineage from which it originates. The wisdom contained within the Kybalion has its roots in the ancient traditions of Hermeticism. At the heart of this system is the figure of Hermes Trismegistus, whose name means thrice great, reflecting his extraordinary mastery over three realms: wisdom, power, and divine love. But Hermes was not just a man. He was an archetype, an embodiment of the fusion between two great mythological figures: Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom and writing, and Hermes, the Greek god of communication and messages. Together, they form a bridge between the visible and invisible worlds, a concept that is central to the Hermetic teachings. Hermes Trismegistus, often regarded as the founder of the first mystery schools of Egypt, imparted knowledge that was far beyond the reach of ordinary people. These schools weren't places of memorization or rote learning. They were sacred institutions where knowledge was passed down through direct experience and spiritual initiation. Those who entered these mystery schools didn't just read about reality, they experienced it. They learned to understand the hidden forces that shape life through a combination of symbolism, ritual, and inner awakening. It's important to note that the Hermetic teachings were not designed for everyone. Much like the Kybalion, the knowledge was concealed in layers of symbolism and metaphor, accessible only to those who were ready to understand it. The secrets taught by Hermes were too potent for those whose minds were not yet prepared. The mysteries of the universe, the true nature of reality, could not be handled by just anyone. This is why the wisdom of Hermes and his disciples was kept secret for so long, and why it is still only accessible to those who are spiritually prepared to absorb it. In fact, the term hermetic, as we use it today, refers to something that is sealed, closed off, or hidden. This term is directly derived from the practices and teachings of Hermes Trismegistus. When something is described as hermetic, it implies that it is locked, protected from the unprepared. This was not done out of secrecy for the sake of secrecy, but rather out of wisdom. Just as you wouldn't give a sharp knife to a child who doesn't understand how to use it, so too would you not hand over the mysteries of the universe to someone who is not yet spiritually mature enough to comprehend them. Hermes and his disciples knew that the knowledge they were imparting was far too powerful to be given to the uninitiated. It could easily be misunderstood, misused, or even abused if in the wrong hands. In the same way, modern scientific principles like chemical formulas or advanced technologies are carefully controlled and not handed out indiscriminately. So too was Hermetic wisdom treated. It was protected, not because it was a secret for the sake of secrecy, but because the knowledge could be destructive if misapplied. True understanding had to be gained through initiation, through personal transformation and spiritual readiness. The wisdom of Hermes was also intimately connected with the inner workings of the human soul. The teachings were not just about understanding the physical world. They were about understanding the nature of the human spirit and its connection to the cosmos. The greatest temple, according to Hermes, was not some external structure, but the inner sanctum of the soul. True wisdom, true knowledge of the universe, could only come through understanding and mastering the self. Throughout history, the teachings of Hermes were passed down to a select few individuals who were deemed ready to receive them. These teachings didn't come in the form of conventional books or lectures. Instead, they were encoded in sacred texts, sacred rituals, and, importantly, in symbols. Symbols are the language of the soul, a way to convey deep truths that cannot be expressed in ordinary language. The use of symbols allows the initiate to bypass the limitations of the mind and connect directly with the deeper truths of existence. One of the key principles of Hermeticism is the idea that everything is connected, that there is no separation between the individual and the universe. Everything is part of the same whole, and this connection is made clear through the use of symbolism. These symbols were not just arbitrary. They were vibrational keys, representing deeper truths that could only be unlocked by the spiritually prepared. In this sense, the teachings of Hermes were not merely intellectual. They were experiential, and they required the initiate to undergo a process of inner transformation. Hermeticism also emphasizes the importance of understanding time and the cycles that govern existence. Hermes and his disciples were keenly aware of the cyclical nature of life, and they taught their followers to attune themselves to these rhythms. They understood that everything in existence follows cycles: birth, growth, decay, and rebirth, and that these cycles were not just external but internal as well. The teachings of Hermes were designed to help the initiate navigate these cycles, to align their own rhythm with the greater cosmic flow. But the most profound aspect of Hermes' teachings was his understanding of the mind. According to the Hermetic wisdom passed down through the ages, the mind is the key to understanding reality. It is not the physical world that determines our experiences, it is the mind. The universe itself is mental, and everything that exists is a manifestation of thought. This insight is the foundation of the Kybalion's first principle, the principle of mentalism, which states that the all is mind. This principle holds that everything in the universe, from the smallest particle to the largest galaxy, is a mental creation, a thought in the mind of the universe. The idea that the universe is mental may sound abstract, but it's a concept that has been echoed throughout history by philosophers, mystics, and now even scientists. The mind, in this sense, is not just the individual mind, but the universal mind, the cosmic consciousness that holds all of existence within it. According to Hermeticism, we are all part of this great mind, and everything we experience is a projection of that mind. This is a profound realization, as it shifts the way we perceive reality. It means that reality is not a static, unchanging thing. It is fluid, flexible, and responsive to our thoughts and consciousness. The principle of mentalism teaches us that our thoughts are not just fleeting, inconsequential things. They're the building blocks of reality. Everything that exists in the world first existed as a thought. This is the key to understanding how we can influence our reality. By mastering our thoughts, we can begin to shape the world around us. This is not just about positive thinking or superficial affirmations. It's about understanding the deeper truth that reality is a reflection of the mind, and that we have the power to shape our reality through our mental vibrations. But to truly understand the teachings of Hermes and the Kybalion, it is important to recognize that they are not just about changing external circumstances. They are about transforming the self, about going within and mastering the mind. Only by understanding and controlling the inner world can we begin to influence the outer world. The great secret, then, is not to manipulate external reality, but to align our inner reality with the universal mind. The teachings of Hermes Trismegistus and the Kybalion provide the tools and wisdom to unlock this potential. By understanding the universal laws and applying them in our lives, we can move from a place of unconscious reaction to a place of conscious creation. But to do this, we must first understand the nature of the universe, the mind, and the laws that govern both. The first and most profound principle of the Kybalion, and one that forms the foundation for all other Hermetic teachings, is the principle of mentalism. This principle is succinctly summed up by the statement, "The all is mind." This concept is not merely philosophical. It is the key to understanding the entire structure of reality. Once you grasp the implications of this idea, everything else in the Kybalion will fall into place. But to truly understand what this means, you need to step beyond your current perceptions and consider reality in a new way. The principle of mentalism teaches us that the universe is mental in nature. What this means is that everything that exists, everything you can see, hear, touch, or feel, is not an external, independent entity. It is, in fact, a mental creation. The world around you, the material universe, the very fabric of space and time, is all a projection of a universal mind. Just as a dream is created by your own mind while you sleep, the reality we experience is created by the all, the universal mind that permeates everything. Think of it this way. Imagine you're in a dream. In this dream, you can run, fly, talk to people, and interact with the environment. It all feels incredibly real. And yet, when you wake up, you realize that everything you experienced in the dream was a creation of your own mind. The people, the places, the situations, they were all made up by your mind while you were dreaming. This same principle applies to the waking world. According to Hermeticism, the universe is a kind of collective dream. It's a shared experience projected by a vast, cosmic mind. Just as your dreams are filled with life and energy while you're in them, the universe is similarly alive with thought, intention, and energy while we experience it. The idea that the universe is mental is revolutionary, not just in a philosophical sense, but also in its practical implications. If everything in the universe is a manifestation of mind, this means that your thoughts and consciousness play a crucial role in shaping the reality you experience. In fact, your individual reality is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state, your mental and emotional vibrations. The way you think, the beliefs you hold, the emotions you feel, they all create the world you live in. This is not a metaphor. This is the fundamental truth that the Kybalion reveals. The universe is not made of matter. It is made of mind. If you truly understand this, then you understand that everything around you, every event that occurs in your life, is a product of thought. Not just your thoughts, but the collective thought of all beings within the universe, which is in turn shaped and influenced by the all, the universal mind. This concept aligns with some of the most modern ideas in quantum physics, where reality is seen as fluid and changeable, influenced by the observer. To put this into perspective, think of a radio. A radio picks up different frequencies of sound waves, and depending on the frequency, the content of the sound changes. If you change the station, you tune into a different set of sounds, different music, different voices, and so on. Similarly, your thoughts and consciousness are like a radio tuning into specific frequencies of the universal mind. Whatever frequency you are tuned into will determine the reality you experience. If your mind is focused on negativity, fear, or scarcity, you're tuning into frequencies that will attract more of those energies. But if your thoughts are aligned with positivity, abundance, and love, you begin to tune into higher frequencies that attract more of those experiences. In a practical sense, this means that everything in your life, your relationships, your career, your health, your environment, is a reflection of your inner state. If you want to change your external world, you must first change your internal world. If you're constantly filled with negative thoughts or limiting beliefs, you will experience a reality that reflects those vibrations. But if you cultivate thoughts of abundance, gratitude, and peace, you begin to align yourself with the higher frequencies of the universe, and your outer world will start to shift accordingly. The principle of mentalism also teaches that reality is not fixed. It is fluid, malleable, and subject to change based on the thoughts and intentions of the collective mind. This is a liberating concept because it means that you are not a passive participant in the world. You are an active creator of your reality. Your thoughts, intentions, and emotions are powerful forces that shape the very world you experience. The universe is not something that happens to you. It is something that you help create. This is where the power of intention comes in. Your thoughts are not just fleeting, inconsequential things. They are vibrations that send ripples through the fabric of reality. When you focus your mind on a particular goal, when you hold a vision of what you want to create, you are directing energy into that vision. The more focused and aligned your thoughts and emotions are with that vision, the more power you give it. The universe responds to your mental and emotional frequencies, shaping the events and circumstances of your life in accordance with those frequencies. Now, you may be wondering how you can begin to apply the principle of mentalism to your own life. The first step is awareness. Start by becoming aware of your thoughts. What are you thinking about most of the time? Are your thoughts focused on what you want, or are they consumed by fear, doubt, and negativity? Begin to observe your mental patterns. And when you notice that your thoughts are not in alignment with what you want to create, gently redirect them. It may take time, but with practice, you can learn to control your thoughts and emotions, and thus begin to shape your reality. Another important aspect of applying mentalism is visualization. The mind is an incredibly powerful tool, and one of the most effective ways to tap into the principle of mentalism is through the practice of visualization. When you visualize something, you are essentially planting the seed of that vision in the fertile soil of the universe. The more vividly you can imagine your desired outcome, the more energy you send out into the universe to bring it into reality. Visualization is not just about daydreaming. It is about focusing your mind on what you want, seeing it in your mind's eye as if it has already happened, and feeling the emotions associated with it. The more you can feel the emotions of having already achieved your goal, the more aligned you become with the frequency of that outcome. This is how you begin to draw that outcome into your life. It's not just about hoping or wishing. It's about mentally and emotionally aligning yourself with the desired outcome and trusting that the universe will respond in kind. The Kybalion teaches that everything begins in the mind. The material world, the physical universe, is simply a projection of the mental world. If you can grasp this concept and begin to master your thoughts, you can begin to shape your reality in a way that aligns with your highest good. The universe is mental, and once you understand the laws that govern it, you gain the power to influence it. So, the next time you face a challenge or obstacle in your life, remember that it is not external forces that are creating your reality. It is your mind. The principle of mentalism shows you that you are not at the mercy of the world. You are co-creating it. When you change your thoughts, you change your reality. And when you begin to live in alignment with the universal mind, you begin to live in harmony with the flow of the universe itself. The Kybalion, through its principles, offers a profound shift in understanding how the universe operates. We've already explored the foundational principle of mentalism, but to truly harness the power of these teachings, it's essential to dive deeper into the 7 Hermetic laws. These laws provide the blueprint for all creation, not just in the physical world, but in the mental and spiritual planes as well. Understanding these laws is like gaining the key to a deeper dimension of reality, where you move from being a passive observer to an active participant in the creation of your life. The 7 laws are not just abstract philosophical concepts. They're the forces that govern all of existence. From the smallest atom to the largest galaxy, these laws are at work, silently shaping every experience, every relationship, and every event in your life. Once you understand these laws, you begin to recognize that nothing in your life is random or accidental. Every event, every person, every circumstance is a result of one or more of these universal principles. 1. The law of vibration. Everything is in motion. One of the most important and transformative laws in the Kybalion is the law of vibration. This law teaches that everything in the universe is in a constant state of motion. Nothing is truly still. Every particle, every thought, every emotion is vibrating at a particular frequency. The law of vibration explains that the difference between what we perceive as solid, material objects and immaterial phenomena like thoughts or feelings is simply a difference in the rate at which the energy is vibrating. In this way, everything in the universe, from the smallest subatomic particle to the most distant star, is connected through vibration. Understanding this law allows you to begin to see the world in a completely new light. If everything is vibration, that means that everything you encounter, every person you meet, and every experience you have is a result of certain frequencies resonating with one another. For you, this means that your own thoughts, emotions, and beliefs emit their own vibrations. If you're constantly focused on negative thoughts, self-doubt, or fear, you're emitting low-frequency vibrations. These low vibrations attract similarly low-frequency situations and people into your life. On the other hand, when you focus on positive emotions such as love, gratitude, and joy, you raise your frequency, which then attracts experiences that are in alignment with those higher vibrations. The key to applying the law of vibration in your life is to become aware of your own energy. Begin to notice how you feel throughout the day and recognize the vibrations you are emitting. If you're in a negative state, shift your energy by focusing on positive thoughts, practicing gratitude, or simply shifting your emotional state. The more you practice this, the more you'll begin to see how your external world begins to reflect the vibrations you are sending out. 2. The law of correspondence. As above, so below. The law of correspondence is one of the most profound and useful principles found in the Kybalion. It teaches that the patterns we observe in one plane of existence are mirrored in others. As above, so below. As within, so without. This ancient axiom suggests that the same laws that govern the cosmos also govern the smallest elements of existence, including your thoughts, emotions, and actions. It indicates that there is a harmony between the higher and lower realms, between the macrocosm, the universe, and the microcosm, your individual life. In practical terms, the law of correspondence invites you to look at the patterns in your own life. If your external reality feels chaotic, it may be a reflection of inner turmoil or disarray. Conversely, if you experience inner peace, your outer reality may begin to reflect that calmness as well. The law suggests that by changing what's inside, your internal state, your thoughts, and emotions, you can change what happens outside of you. Your external circumstances are a reflection of your internal state. This is a powerful law because it shows us that change doesn't necessarily need to begin with our external circumstances. it begins within us. If we're feeling overwhelmed by life, we may need to look inward and adjust our mental and emotional state before we see improvements in our physical surroundings. The more you understand and apply the law of correspondence, the more you will notice how your inner world creates patterns in your outer world, and how aligning the two can lead to a more harmonious and purposeful existence. 3. The law of polarity. Everything has its opposite. The law of polarity reveals that everything in existence has its opposite. Light and dark, hot and cold, love and fear. Everything is on a continuum, and the extremes are simply different manifestations of the same underlying energy. Understanding this law is crucial because it teaches us that opposites are not separate. They are connected, and they exist only in relation to one another. One cannot exist without the other. This law also helps to explain how transformation and growth occur. When we experience a difficult or challenging situation, it is often the result of a polarity. There's something we need to balance or integrate within ourselves. For example, the opposite of fear is love, and the law teaches us that by consciously shifting our focus from fear to love, we could transmute the lower energy into a higher one. Similarly, if you find yourself in a situation where you're experiencing a great deal of stress or frustration, the way to change it is to understand that those feelings are connected to something positive, like motivation or growth. The challenge is to understand that this polarity exists and use it as an opportunity for transformation. The law of polarity also shows us how we can change our experience of any situation by changing our perception of it. When we realize that every negative experience has a corresponding positive aspect, we can begin to shift our focus from what we don't want to what we do want. For example, if you're going through a difficult breakup, it can be tempting to focus solely on the pain and loss. But if you recognize that this is simply one side of the polarity, you can shift your perspective and focus on the opportunity for growth, self-discovery, and healing. 4. The law of rhythm. Everything moves in cycles. The law of rhythm reveals that everything in the universe moves in cycles, oscillating between opposing extremes. This law teaches us that life is not a linear path, but a rhythmic dance between expansion and contraction, action and rest, light and dark. Just as the seasons change, so too do the phases of our lives. One of the most important things to understand about the law of rhythm is that everything moves in cycles. You cannot avoid the ups and downs of life. These fluctuations are natural and necessary for growth. When you're experiencing a challenging or low point, the law of rhythm reminds you that this is temporary. Just as the tides of the ocean ebb and flow, so too do the circumstances of your life. Understanding this law gives you the power to weather difficult times with more grace and patience. When you're experiencing a high, you can embrace it, knowing that you'll need to rest and reflect at some point. Similarly, during the low periods, you can find comfort in knowing that the high point is just around the corner. Life is not a constant upward trajectory. It moves in rhythms, and once you learn to flow with those rhythms, you can navigate the ups and downs with greater ease and understanding. 5. The law of cause and effect. Every action has a consequence. One of the most straightforward and yet profound laws is the law of cause and effect. It states that every action has a corresponding reaction. In other words, what you put into the universe, whether through your thoughts, words, or actions, will come back to you in some form. This is one of the most easily observable laws in everyday life. When you act with intention, when you consciously choose how to respond to situations, you are setting a cause in motion. That cause will inevitably lead to an effect, whether immediate or delayed. This law highlights the importance of responsibility. You are the creator of your life. Your choices create your experiences, and you have the power to choose your actions with awareness. The law of cause and effect is incredibly liberating because it reminds you that you are not at the mercy of random forces or fate. Instead, you have the power to consciously create the life you desire. By becoming mindful of your thoughts, words, and actions, you can create a life that is in alignment with your desires and intentions. The 7 Hermetic laws outlined in the Kybalion provide a framework for understanding how the universe operates, but they also offer a pathway to personal mastery. Once you begin to grasp these laws, you realize that you're not a passive bystander in life. Instead, you're an active participant and co-creator in the unfolding of your own reality. Mastery, as defined by the teachings of Hermes, is not about controlling the world around you, but about aligning yourself with the flow of the universe, allowing the universal laws to work through you rather than against you. This shift in perception is transformative. It is the difference between living life as a victim of circumstances and living life as a conscious creator. When you understand that everything is governed by laws, when you internalize that there is an intelligent order to existence, you stop feeling like you are at the mercy of life's randomness. Instead, you begin to see yourself as a part of that grand design, where your thoughts, actions, and intentions are powerful forces capable of influencing the world around you. The Kybalion encourages the development of spiritual discipline in order to align with the universal laws. This discipline is not about strict adherence to a set of rules, but about cultivating an inner harmony, an alignment of the mind, heart, and spirit. When you achieve this alignment, the laws begin to work for you rather than against you. The more you live in accordance with these laws, the more power you gain over your circumstances. This is the essence of Hermetic mastery. One of the keys to mastery is understanding the relationship between the mind and reality. The Kybalion reveals that the universe is mental, and everything that exists is a manifestation of thought. As we discussed earlier, the principle of mentalism is the foundation of the Hermetic teachings. It shows us that the mind is the key to understanding and shaping reality. But mastery goes beyond just intellectual understanding. It is about embodying this principle in your daily life. To master your reality, you must first master your mind. This means taking control of your thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Most people are unconsciously influenced by their surroundings, by their past experiences, and by the prevailing societal norms. They're constantly reacting to external circumstances without understanding the deeper forces at play. The truly wise initiate, on the other hand, learns to govern their own thoughts, to rise above the fluctuations of the external world, and to align their inner state with their desires and intentions. This process of mastery involves a deep level of self-awareness. You must examine your own beliefs, your habitual thought patterns, and your emotional responses. Are they in alignment with the life you want to create? Or are they unconsciously sabotaging your desires? Mastery means becoming aware of the mental patterns that govern your life and consciously choosing to change them when they no longer serve you. For example, let's say you have a deep-seated belief that money is scarce or that success is hard to come by. This belief, no matter how subtle, will create a vibration in your field that attracts situations in which money is difficult to obtain and success feels out of reach. But once you understand the law of mentalism, you realize that this belief is not an absolute truth. It is simply a thought pattern that you have been repeating. With this realization, you can consciously change your mental focus. Instead of thinking about scarcity, you can begin to focus on abundance. You can affirm to yourself that there is more than enough for everyone, including you. As you shift your thoughts, your vibration changes, and the law of vibration begins to attract opportunities, people, and situations that align with your new mindset. This is the essence of mastery, recognizing that you have the power to change your inner state and, in doing so, to change your outer reality. The more you practice this, the more you begin to notice synchronicities, opportunities, and positive changes appearing in your life. This isn't magic. It's the natural result of working with the universal laws. Another essential part of mastery is understanding the interconnectedness of all things. The law of correspondence, as we explored earlier, teaches us that everything in the universe reflects the same underlying principles. As within, so without. This means that your inner state is mirrored in your outer world. If you're experiencing chaos in your life, it may be a reflection of inner chaos. If you're feeling disconnected from others, it may be because you are not fully connected to yourself. Mastery, then, involves cultivating inner harmony. It means creating a peaceful, balanced state within yourself that is reflected in your external world. When you are aligned internally, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions are all in harmony, you begin to attract harmony into your life. This doesn't mean that you will never face challenges or difficulties, but it means that you will face them with a sense of peace and confidence, knowing that the universe is unfolding exactly as it should. Another powerful aspect of mastery is understanding the law of polarity. Everything has its opposite, and the key to mastery is learning to navigate the spectrum of polarity without getting stuck in one extreme. This law shows us that opposites are not separate. They are two ends of the same spectrum. By learning to shift your perception, you can move from one polarity to another. If you're feeling fear, for example, you can consciously shift to love. If you're feeling sadness, you can shift to joy. This isn't about denying your emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about recognizing that you have the power to transform them. This process of shifting between polarities is a form of spiritual alchemy. Just as a metal can be transformed into gold, so too can your negative emotions be transmuted into positive ones. The key is to recognize that the energy behind an emotion can be redirected. By shifting your thoughts and focus, you can change the energy that is running through you, thus transforming your experience of the world. The law of rhythm, too, is integral to mastery. Understanding that life moves in cycles and rhythms allows you to embrace the natural flow of existence. When you're in a low phase, you understand that it is temporary and that the rhythm will soon change. When you're in a high phase, you embrace it fully, knowing that this too is part of the natural rhythm of life. Mastery, in this sense, is not about forcing life to always be up. It's about understanding and flowing with the natural rhythms, knowing when to take action and when to rest, when to move forward and when to pause. Mastery also involves embracing the law of cause and effect. Every action has a reaction, and this law shows us that we are responsible for our own lives. By taking conscious, intentional actions, we set causes in motion that will create the effects we desire. This is a powerful realization because it puts us in the driver's seat of our own lives. Instead of blaming external circumstances or other people for our experiences, we take full responsibility for the energy we send out into the world. When we act with intention, the universe responds in kind. Finally, the law of gender teaches us the importance of balancing the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves. Mastery is not just about action, but also about receptivity. It's about learning to listen, to receive, and to act in harmony with the universal flow. When you balance these energies within yourself, you begin to create in a more powerful and aligned way. The masculine energy of action is necessary for creation, but must be balanced with the feminine energy of intuition and receptivity. True mastery comes when these energies are in harmony. Mastery is not about controlling the universe. It's about aligning yourself with it. By understanding the universal laws and applying them consciously in your life, you become a co-creator with the universe. You move from being a passive observer of your reality to being an active participant in its creation. This is the essence of Hermetic wisdom: to understand the laws that govern reality and use them to live a life of purpose, power, and harmony. The teachings of the Kybalion and Hermetic wisdom are not merely intellectual concepts. They're a way of life, a path to spiritual awakening. To truly understand and apply the universal laws, you must walk the path of the initiate. The initiate is not someone who has memorized sacred texts or mastered intellectual knowledge. Rather, they are individuals who have awakened to a deeper understanding of reality. They are the ones who have undergone a transformation, who have moved beyond the surface of life to explore its inner dimensions. The path of the initiate is one of self-discovery, inner work, and the gradual unveiling of deeper truths. The concept of the initiate is central to the teachings of Hermeticism. An initiate is someone who has chosen to step into a higher level of awareness, someone who has committed to understanding the mysteries of the universe and their own consciousness. Becoming an initiate is not about joining a secret society or taking on a specific title. It is about an inner transformation. It is about awakening to the truth that lies hidden beneath the surface of everyday experience. The path to initiation is one of gradual growth, one where each step brings a deeper understanding of the nature of reality and the self. Unlike conventional education, where knowledge is acquired through reading and memorization, the initiation process in Hermeticism is experiential. It requires direct experience and inner exploration. This is why the teachings of Hermes were not passed down in ordinary books or lectures. They were shared through direct transmission, often in the form of symbols, rituals, and metaphors. These forms of teaching bypass the intellect and speak directly to the soul. Initiation, in this context, is the process of awakening to the truth that the universe is not a random, chaotic place, but a coherent system governed by intelligent laws. It is about realizing that everything that happens, every person you meet, and every situation you encounter is part of a larger cosmic plan, a plan that you are a part of. This realization is not immediate. It unfolds gradually as you begin to understand the subtle forces at play in your own life and in the world around you. One of the key aspects of the initiate's journey is the process of inner purification. Before one can fully awaken to the truth of the universe, they must first clear away the mental, emotional, and spiritual blocks that obscure their vision. These blocks are often the result of years of conditioning, limiting beliefs, and unconscious habits. The initiate's task is to remove these obstacles through self-awareness, meditation, and spiritual practices. This process of purification allows the individual to see reality more clearly, to understand the deeper currents that flow through life, and to align their own energy with the universal flow. The path of initiation is also about mastering the mind. As we've seen in the principle of mentalism, the mind is the key to understanding and shaping reality. The initiate understands that their thoughts, emotions, and beliefs are not just passive reactions to external events. They're active forces that shape their experience of the world. Through self-mastery, the initiate learns to control their thoughts and emotions, to align them with the higher frequencies of love, peace, and wisdom. This is not an easy task, as the mind has a tendency to wander and become distracted by external circumstances. But with practice and discipline, the initiate learns to bring their mind back into alignment with their true purpose. Another important aspect of the initiate's journey is the cultivation of inner silence. In a world filled with noise and distractions, it can be difficult to hear the subtle whispers of the soul. The initiate learns to cultivate stillness and silence, both externally and internally. This silence is not empty. It is filled with awareness, presence, and clarity. It is in this state of inner quiet that the initiate can hear the guidance of their higher self, connect with the universal mind, and gain insight into the mysteries of existence. This inner silence is the key to unlocking deeper levels of consciousness and awakening to the truth of who you really are. The role of the initiate is also about embracing transformation. To become an initiate is to undergo a profound transformation of the self. This transformation is not just intellectual or emotional, it is spiritual. It involves letting go of old identities, old attachments, and old ways of thinking that no longer serve your highest good. The initiate understands that transformation is a constant process, that the path of awakening is never truly complete. There is always more to discover, more to learn, and more to integrate. The true initiate is always evolving, always growing, and always seeking greater understanding. It is also essential to understand that the path of the initiate is not about escaping the world or withdrawing from society. The initiate is not a recluse or an ascetic. Instead, the initiate learns to live fully in the world while maintaining a deeper awareness of the spiritual realities that underlie it. The initiate's task is to bring the wisdom of the universe into the everyday world, to live in harmony with the universal laws, and to be a beacon of light for others. The initiate's transformation is not for their own benefit alone. It is for the benefit of all. As you begin to walk the path of the initiate, you will find that the universe begins to respond to you in ways you may not have expected. Synchronicities, opportunities, and guidance will begin to appear as if the universe itself is conspiring to help you on your journey. This is not a coincidence. It is the result of your alignment with the universal mind, with the flow of the universe. As you become more attuned to the laws that govern existence, you will find that life becomes more harmonious, more purposeful, and more in tune with your deepest desires. Becoming an initiate is not an overnight process. It is a journey that requires patience, discipline, and trust. There will be challenges along the way, moments of doubt and uncertainty. But the path of the initiate is one of constant growth and awakening. As you continue to walk this path, you will find that the answers you seek are not outside of you. They're within you. The true nature of the universe is not something to be discovered externally. It is something to be realized within your own consciousness. The Kybalion and the wisdom it imparts is simply a guide to help you awaken to the truth of who you really are and to the laws that govern the universe. As you begin to awaken to these deeper truths, you will realize that you are not separate from the universe. You are the universe in a unique form. You are an expression of the all, a part of the infinite consciousness that pervades everything. The more you align yourself with the universal laws, the more you come into harmony with the all. And as you do, you will begin to experience life in a way that is more purposeful, more connected, and more in tune with the greater flow of the universe. The knowledge contained in the Kybalion is not meant to stay locked away in theory. It is meant to be applied, lived, and experienced. While understanding the principles of the universe is powerful, true transformation only happens when you begin to integrate these principles into your daily life. This is where the real magic of the Kybalion happens. When you start to consciously use the universal laws to shape your experiences, you begin to see that life is no longer random, but a coordinated dance of intentional creation. As we've already discussed, the principle of mentalism teaches us that the universe is mental and everything in existence is the result of thought. The first step in applying the Kybalion is to take responsibility for the thoughts and mental patterns that shape your reality. Recognize that you are constantly creating your experience, whether consciously or unconsciously. Your thoughts, beliefs, and emotions are not just fleeting things. They are powerful forces that shape your life. Once you realize this, you begin to see how vital it is to cultivate a mind that is aligned with the life you wish to create. Start by examining your thoughts. Are they focused on abundance or scarcity? On love or fear? On health or illness? The Kybalion teaches that what you think about, you attract into your life. If you spend your days thinking about the things you don't want, fear, stress, or negativity, that is the frequency you send out into the universe. But when you shift your thoughts to what you do want, health, success, peace, love, you begin to align yourself with those higher frequencies. This doesn't mean that you should ignore negative emotions or pretend everything is always perfect. The goal is not to suppress difficult feelings, but to shift your perception of them. The Kybalion teaches us that emotions, like everything else, are part of the natural rhythm of life. By understanding the law of polarity, for example, you can begin to see that fear is simply the opposite of love, and that by shifting your focus to love, you can transmute fear into courage. If you are feeling stuck in a situation, instead of dwelling on the negativity, shift your energy to the possibility of change, to growth, and to the opportunity that lies on the other side of the challenge. The law of correspondence also plays a vital role in applying the Kybalion. As above, so below. As within, so without. This means that what happens on the inside reflects on the outside. If you are experiencing a sense of chaos in your outer life, it could be a reflection of inner chaos. To change the external, you must first change the internal. Begin by practicing mindfulness and meditation to center yourself. Learn to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Understand that the more you cultivate peace and harmony within, the more your external world will mirror that peace. One of the most empowering aspects of the Kybalion is the law of vibration. Everything in the universe, including you, is vibrating at a certain frequency. The thoughts and emotions you hold in your mind create a vibrational field around you. This field influences the experiences, people, and situations that come into your life. The higher your vibration, the more you attract experiences that align with that frequency. Conversely, if your vibration is low, you may attract negative or undesirable experiences. So, how can you raise your vibration? It starts with becoming conscious of the energy you are putting out into the world. If you're constantly focused on what's wrong with your life, you're sending out a low-frequency energy. But when you shift your focus to gratitude, to the beauty that exists in the world, and to the positive things in your life, your vibration rises. Engage in activities that uplift you, whether it's listening to music, spending time in nature, practicing yoga, or doing anything that makes you feel joyful. As you raise your vibration, you will begin to see that your experiences shift in alignment with the higher frequency you are putting out. The law of polarity teaches us that everything has its opposite. If you're going through a difficult time, understand that this is part of the natural flow of life. The pendulum swings both ways. If you're in a down phase, you can trust that the upswing is coming. This law reminds us that all things are in constant movement, and just as easily as we experience difficulty, we can experience joy, peace, and growth. By accepting the cyclical nature of life, you can stop fighting against the lows and learn to flow with the rhythm of existence. This principle is particularly useful in managing emotional ups and downs. Instead of resisting the negative emotions that inevitably arise, practice acceptance. Acknowledge your emotions, but do not let them define you. Remember that every emotion, whether positive or negative, is part of the natural rhythm of life. By accepting both the light and the dark, you allow yourself to move more gracefully through life's challenges. One of the most practical ways to apply the Kybalion in everyday life is through conscious action. The law of cause and effect reminds us that every action has a reaction. What we put out into the world, we get back. If you want to experience kindness, generosity, and success, you must first practice those qualities in your own life. Start by taking intentional actions that align with the life you want to create. If you want to experience more love, be loving. If you want abundance, be generous. The key here is consistency. The Kybalion teaches that nothing happens by chance, and that everything in your life is the result of your actions and thoughts. The more consistently you align your thoughts, words, and actions with your desired outcome, the faster you'll begin to see results. Begin with small actions, consistent, intentional steps in the direction of your desires, and watch how the universe responds. One final key aspect of applying the Kybalion is understanding the law of gender. This law teaches that everything contains both the masculine and feminine principles. The masculine energy is associated with action, focus, and willpower, while the feminine energy is associated with intuition, receptivity, and creation. To live in harmony with the universe, you must balance these energies within yourself. You cannot create without both of these energies working together. In practical terms, this means that if you're overly focused on action and achievement, the masculine energy, you may burn out. On the other hand, if you're overly passive or receptive, the feminine energy, you may feel stagnant. Balance comes from learning when to take action and when to allow space for things to unfold. It's about learning to listen to your intuition and trusting it to guide you, while also having the willpower to take the necessary steps toward your goals. As you begin to apply the Kybalion's principles in your daily life, you will notice that reality begins to shift. The universal laws are not abstract or theoretical. They're living, breathing forces that influence every aspect of your existence. By aligning yourself with these laws, you begin to experience life as a conscious co-creator. The more you live in harmony with the laws of the universe, the more you realize that you are not separate from the universe. You are one with it. The Kybalion provides a powerful map for understanding the laws that govern reality. By applying these laws to your daily life, you can shift from being a passive observer to an active participant in the creation of your world. Through mental mastery, self-awareness, and conscious action, you can begin to live a life that is in alignment with your true purpose. The universe is not random or chaotic. It is a living, intelligent system that responds to your energy. Once you understand this, you begin to live with a greater sense of power, purpose, and harmony.